but we'd sure like you to listen. Thank you.
Bet you didn't have this many any other time. I live in Ceresco and Marshall Township, and I'd rather not be part of the city. No offense to city folk, but we live in the township.
Name, sir?
Jerry Madoff.
Thank you.
And I don't want to be in the city. We live in the township, it's a country. It's only this little triangle, but I don't want all this stuff built around me either. Like they were saying, the industry is, no thanks.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Emerson-Rich, Marshall Township resident. We moved here just over a year ago. I moved from Lansing, and what attracted me to this town was that there are 7,000 people that live here. So when I heard of this Megasite, which like somebody said was a few days ago maybe, I got on the Google and did a whole lot of quick research and saw that they're hoping to bring 5,000 jobs. And I'm no mathematician, but that tells me that's going to destroy the population of this town. And I think it was Josh that mentioned it before. That kind of growth is a little too fast. I've worked 25 years in the utility industry, and I know that the infrastructure of this town, meaning the water pipes, the power pipes, the gas pipes, the sewer pipes, cannot handle a megasite. And also living in Lansing, I saw the battery plant go in, Ultium. I work at a utility company there, so I know a little bit about it. And I think that to say you want a battery plant to come in, and I read on the website that nobody's taxes would be affected by this. That's a bold-faced lie. Nobody's rates will be affected by this. Again, a bold-faced lie. You guys, I'm paying more on taxes and property than I've ever done in my life because of people like you. We drove through this town. I saw families walking their dogs, families walking their kids. I didn't see crime. I didn't see all that comes with having a big population. We don't see traffic problems. So people have already said this, but to bring a megasite to this area would be catastrophic. Again, we moved here because we love this town, we love its people, and we're hoping that y'all can help keep it where it's at. And I'm not saying that I'm against green crap, because you know I believe in all of that, but I think that this is not the place for it. People have mentioned before there are already polluted sites. Living in Lansing, that whole town is basically a brownfield. But this little research I did on this megasite is farmed, that's being farmed right now. I saw the drone footage and it's beautiful food growing there. So I don't see why we'd want to take something not tainted by pollution and just dump all over it. I'm hoping that we can put a stop to this. I know people have said it's a done deal, and I'm with the rest of the group here hoping it's not, hoping there's something we can do. I do like the idea of making a referendum because all of us in this room know that it will not be voted through. So I stand with the town of Marshall in saying stop this megasite. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, Diane Thompson, County Commission, Precinct 6. What a great turnout, and thank you for sharing your concern and sharing your voice and helping everyone understand what your concerns and issues are. So I was just sworn in a week and a half ago, and thank you, and really look forward to working with all of you and better understanding the issues. Certainly I too share the concern. I live in Marshall and share the concern of what this does to our community, the rapid growth, and the just the beautiful land, the water. We just really 5 years ago, Bridge was completing their work and cleaning the river, and going over the bridge on 15 Mile Road. You can see people in tubes and canoes and whatnot on the waterways. And, you know, that point is really significant. And, you know, anytime we make a change, there's a price to pay for it, and that really needs to be considered. So I look forward to talking about this more and learning about all of this. I just texted another commissioner, and one of the things they said is that this has been in the works for 3 years. And I'm just embarrassed because it's really the first time I'm hearing about it. And I was running for commission for 6 months. I went door to door to hundreds and hundreds of people and talked with hundreds of people this summer and fall before the election, and not once was that brought up. And that really is concerning. I mean, this is a huge thing, and I think the people need to be heard. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Industrial consumer assets, that's really the residential. Yeah, ask her a question. Like, what is the Megasite? Like, what kind of industry?
Nick Kellogg, Marshall resident, or Marshall Township. How many of you have been on vacation and going through some of these big towns found us where just a repulsive smell? One, I drove truck for Clark Equipment out of Battle Creek for 14 years. And some of the towns I go into, you could smell them 5 to 10 miles before you even got there.
Right.
The smell of the chemicals in the air down St. Albans and Charleston, West Virginia. It just hangs in the air, and it's constant. Savannah, Georgia, and some of the other big towns. The smell just hangs in the air from the chemicals and some of the materials that they use. And once it's in the air, it'll stink forever because it's in the ground. And you aren't gonna get rid of it. So that's one of the other things that you might wanna consider.
Yeah.
We need to reintroduce
I can't remember your name.
Frank Brownell, Marshall Township. One thing I had concerned about was being 69's right here, and wastewater treatment's gonna come off of this place. How are they gonna get their, and there's gonna be an awful lot of it with the byproducts and stuff with it. Are they gonna build a wastewater treatment plant along with this factory? And is that gonna be dumping into the Kalamazoo River as well?
Be deleted? No. Just like every other thing.
My understanding is that part of the deal with the 425, with the property going to the city of Marshall, that they're providing utilities. Those utilities are water, sewer, electric, and fiber net. Have not heard anything, one, about a wastewater treatment plant for whatever goes in here, nor any dumping into the Kalamazoo.
How about the water? Will they be tapping into the aquifers, or will they be bringing water up out of the river?
The city is gonna provide the water.
The city's able to sustain that.
That's the information that we got at this point.
You can come down with
If I could ask a follow-up question, I didn't know if this was going to be addressed later on. Has the zoning been changed for this parcel property already? The 1,600 acres to the I-3, which would accommodate the heavy industry? It has not. Okay, any idea when?
That will be city zoning, not township zoning.
Correct, but I figured you would know, so,
The
yeah.
city, last week had a meeting on that I-3. I believe, I didn't go to it. I believe the planning commission approved it and it would go to the city council.
Okay.
In the township, you know, just so that your answer gets a little more, or your question gets a little more answered, is right behind you is our zoning districts.
Mhm.
We
The
can't hear
one on
back
the
here.
right-
hear you.
Okay.
The one on the right is the master plan,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's the township.
the township master plan, and then the one on the left is the actual zoning as it is now.
Okay.
So not all of that area, but a substantial part of that area is currently zoned in the township as industrial and has been, near as we can find out, since the late 1960s.
But is it light industry or heavy industry? Because there's a huge difference between those two
Light
designations.
industry in the
Light,
township,
okay.
if I understand. We only have one industrial zone.
Is that something well, I guess I raised the point before, is the master plan, it was put on hold, this, according to the minutes that I've read, it didn't any expand on it, but, I don't know if that was one of the issues that the master plan was going to address, was the zoning on this? Or is it gonna become a moot point? Is that what your hope is, that once the property's transferred, then it's the city that takes care of it, and you won't have to put it in your master plan, I guess?
No, our master plan's on the right,
Right, correct.
which is, you know, is a kind of a predictor of possible future development of how the township would develop. It's not the zoning map,
Oh, okay.
and it does not require that the, you know, that those areas, that the zoning map, you know, be done exactly as the master plan shows, because that's kind of predictive. And there are a lot of ingredients in the master plan, but once again, it's not the zoning district and it's not the zoning ordinance. There's a whole another process in order to be properly zoned,
Okay.
be consistent with that, so.
Rick Fry, I'm out of Sarasco. Do you have permission from all these property owners to put this water and sewer in? Or is that part of this transfer that's gonna take place tonight? That is, I mean, I don't know how many of these properties through here, obviously this one here, but to go on over here further, none of these are in your great scheme of things. They are, but they're not, there's not any purchase been made.
This will be an attempt to, this will be an attempt to answer at least part of that. And that is it is our understanding, and we have not seen the actual options, that the state apparently has an agreement with the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance to act as its agent in securing land for the so-called Megasite. Is our understanding that they have a number of options that they have entered into with the landowners for the possibility of purchasing their land.
But
You know,
they have not purchased it at this.
they have not executed, they have not, to the best of my knowledge, they have not executed the purchases. My understanding is they've notified these four owners of these four
Right.
parcels of land, that they are exercising their option to purchase for whatever agreed upon price that they, you know, that they had for the option, and that they will be closing on those purchases in the near future.
Now, you said that a lot of this is coming by way of through the state, and this kind of like, is it
It's
true?
all
or-
coming.
Huh?
It's all coming. I think
And
Mr. Brownell pointed out, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
And is that money that's handed down from Granholm that in turn gets her money from us as
That-
taxpayers?
Well, to be, yeah.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Well, to be factual about that, Rick, this is money that was appropriated by the Michigan legislature a year ago. And I forgot the name of the acronym they had for it, but they stuffed $1 billion of our tax money into some fund to make sites ready to compete for major developments. And so the legislature appropriated it and the governor signed it. One of the chief people was our former state representative, forgot his first name, Matt Hall. Very instrumental in getting the money appropriated and also in getting the money allocated through MEDC for this project, which they are using MEDA, the Marshall, the local alliance, they're using them as the front. I call them the front.
When do we actually get to choose where our tax money goes?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, damn it, we pay it, where's our representation?
Well, you know, you'd have to ask your state representative and state senator. They're the ones that came up with all these programs.
They can stick this on some brown ground somewhere else they already ruined.
Then they stick us with, you know, with having to make decisions on these property transfers.
Leave it up to the people, let them vote. Don't do it. It's not hard.
Well,
You can't agree with this. Unless your hands really are tied.
Okay, in regard to these 4 property owners that have got these requests tonight, okay? And you say, let's put it up to a vote. These people are requesting that their property go into the city of Marshall for utilities. I don't see where I can stop a property owner from requesting that, nor can I stop a property owner from selling their property if they've got something they want to do with it and it's not illegal.
You definitely stop
hold-
425.
Let me finish, and let me say, you folks are doing excellent tonight with this many people, and we're having this discourse. It hasn't happened in the near past this well. But what these people, the property owners, are the ones that are requesting the 425s, okay? So that's what we're looking at tonight. To the request of the 4 property owners on C Drive that are requesting that their properties.
Who is that? Can you name that, please?
Excuse me, that they go into the 425 and it goes to the city. The city is going to have a mirror image of this meeting tomorrow night because they also have to accept the 425s.
Can you tell us where those properties are along C Drive, those 4 properties, where exactly that is?
The property owners are Cirrus Farms, MEDA, that's Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance that had bought one house on the south side and demolished it. And then there's a Ford and a Vanderwijk property. So those are the 4 property owners that have submitted these 425 requests tonight that are before us.
These people feel bullied into it.
Pardon me?
The people feel bullied into making this decision because
Somebody made
they
them an
don't
offer
have.
to go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna discuss the merits of that because I wasn't a party to the negotiations on that. And I've heard on the other side that the people were very well compensated. But none of us are gonna know that because
Because
every,
they also didn't
would,
know.
could I finish, please?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. There's a non-disclosure agreement
Yes.
that, and this goes with every time you have a large manufacturing concern or an entity that wants to do something like this, the only way they will work, and it came from the state down, these non-disclosure agreements, you cannot say anything about it.
It's funded with our tax dollars, they don't have a right to do that.
Exactly.
Well,
Flat out, that's our money.
that's the way the state sets it up, and,
Well, that's where things.
and the
change.
attorneys,
There's
sir,
so
the
many
attorneys have
stuff
looked
that's
at
hidden.
it, and, okay. There you go.
What's the percentage that Cirrus owns versus the other three?
Most of it.
Pardon me?
So Cirrus is one of the four that are requesting this.
Correct.
This sale. How much property does Cirrus own in relationship to the rest of the three owners?
I don't have the total acreage amount, ma'am.
You have an estimate?
No, I don't.
They're just,
Well, they're counted.
I think, you know, if I recall right, I wouldn't know the metes and bounds of it, but I just have it in my mind that Cirrus Farms is probably 90% of the area that's in here.
Right.
If it's purchased as farmland, how can it, I mean, how can you not see that it should be sold as farmland?
Well, you know, I don't wanna be in defense of them, but alls I can tell you is it has been zoned industrial in our township since the late 1960s that we know of.
Light industrial.
Well, it's, yeah, currently we call it that, but we only have one industrial district in the township. I mean, it's in several areas, but we have only one zoning district called industrial.
I think we have a gentleman up here.
Hi, I'm Bob Moakley, Ceresco, Michigan. I'm part of this, and I didn't ask for anything. They came to my house on Sunday while I was watching football and said, "Here you go, you know, get a lawyer, we'll talk." So that's all I'm saying about that. But I was here at the last meeting when the Sacklighter family and their attorney said that they wanted to be considered part of the industrial. Okay, I'm looking out at their field, I'm thinking 300 acres. You've got the Glotfelter piece, that's another 300. You've got the Bauer piece, that's another 160. You got the rest of us. Are we going to be in a situation where they're gonna come to us before a buyout and say, you gotta hook up to city water, city sewer, we're making you industrial, and oh, by the way, you go pay city taxes.
Thank you.
And then they turn around and say, oh, maybe we don't need your piece. Do you know what they're gonna do with the rest of it?
The property that they have options for, they're looking at for the Megasite. If they are not looking to take residential and put it in the 425. The only thing they're looking, the options for is for the Megasite, the industrial complex.
So, we are part of the Megasite. If you look at the map, and we are part of the Megasite, and we are part of the buyout options. Whether they pull us or not, we don't know. We had no intentions of leaving. We was in the middle of a huge remodel. We were settling down. We've been there 20 years, put a lot of investment into the property. We like Ceresco. The river's gorgeous, even though we all went through a lot. And now I'm sitting here saying, you know, you might get strong-armed into city sewer, city water, and more taxes without representation. what's the answer? Does anybody have the answer? Is Jim Durian gonna be at the meeting tomorrow night? Can we ask him?
Don't count on it.
I mean, everybody's life's in turmoil. But they're telling me, you gotta get off your property or else we'll lowball you and take it anyway.
Yeah.
And once they know that the property is gonna be part of a Megasite, who are you gonna sell to?
So somebody actually came and talked to you Sunday?
No, this was way back when it started.
Oh, okay.
In the spring.
Okay.
But like you said, there's non-disclosures and floating everywhere, and I could talk about general things in a public hearing just like everyone else. I have the right to do that.
Sure.
But, there's a lot of people, and I read what was on the website about everybody was so happy, that they got this buyout and the conditions and the deals and everything. Where did he get that stuff? No, that's fiction. That's
Fake
myth.
news.
From Sears says from Chicago, don't have anything left in this area.
Yeah, the Indiana
Yep.
farmer, So anyway, I'd like somebody to answer those questions, are we next to get strong-armed into, get incorporated into the city? And then be left hanging with our taxes going sky high, knowing, well, they screwed us, but they're not gonna take our land, or they're gonna do this, or they're gonna do that. There's gotta be some answers to the public, we're not just raw meat. Anyway, that's all I got.
I'd just like to take his question one step further, because what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and what I saw that came across on my phone, I think we're talking tonight about the beginning of a project that eventually is gonna go all the way to 11 Mile Road. And with what he just said about Sack Rider Farms and so forth, it appears to me that what we're talking about right now in the regard of 13 Mile and C Drive is one phase, and it's going to continue, if you look, all the way to 11 Mile Road. This is, in the end, gonna be a whole lot bigger than what you're talking about right now in the regard of 13 Mile Road, C Drive, and the river. This is gonna continue to go all the way out to the casino and 11 Mile all the way. That's what you're showing there in all that gray. That's huge. And I think we've got a right to know if tonight we're discussing proposal A and B and C and D and E are coming along, because those of us who live in metropolitan Ceresco, what are we going to have in that little orange triangle there that Donnie pointed out in the regard of this huge gray mass here? I want that question answered tonight. That's a huge proposal, and that's bigger than what we learned about it on our cell phones yesterday.
Chris Stout, 15 Mile Road. I'd like to know about the wildlife that's gonna get disrupted. Like, I was sitting in my living room. I live in the solar panel new village that's gonna be on 15 Mile H Drive, watching 6-7 deer run across the road. You know exactly what's gonna happen. There's gonna be fences all over the place. They're gonna get hit by cars. It's gonna be a mess. And there's nothing I can do about it, because it was done all under the table with what went on with that bullshit. But this can change. That's all I got to
Hi, I'm Emily Emerson Ridge, resident of Marshall. So my questions are kind of deeper. When we make decisions, we don't make them just for today. We plan for tomorrow, and you know that. So, devil's advocate, right? Because that's who I am in my life. What is gonna happen to the schools, the hospitals? There's not a women's resource center in Calhoun County, so what's gonna happen when violence and crime increases? What's gonna happen to our fire department, our city of police, the ambulance companies, our grocery store? We've already lost one, ice cream shop, thanks to Dairy Queen, Dairy Hill, what's it called? Dairy Queen, yeah. Okay. What's gonna happen to all the businesses? I know you had foresight when you started talking about this 6 months, a year, 3 years ago. Whenever it was, you don't know, you do. What was your plan? Share that with us. Get us on board. Help us see why it's so important to destroy Marshall. For money. I'm not a grandmother yet. I want to have my grandkids grow up here. In a small town. We left Lansing because there was a murder. 3 houses down in the front yard. A white man walking home in a white neighborhood on a Wednesday night at 9 p.m. I watched crime go from the 16th most violent crime city to the 9th most violent crime city because marijuana dispensaries and grow centers were allowed to move in. I poured through the city ordinances to read what your policies were on marijuana dispensaries and grow facilities before I moved here. That was part of what I loved about it. The residents spoke. You said no. Why won't you listen to us now? I don't understand. The floor is yours. Speak.
Some kind of an answer, like we'll circle back, we'll get back with you on that.
I'm good with that.
That sounded like Washington. We'll just circle back. Wonder why we don't talk to the state, we get the same answer.
Well, first of all, we haven't decided anything, and we haven't, as members of the board, even discussed this yet. So, you know, it's kind of hard to answer a question when we haven't even discussed it and even made a decision as to how we're going to proceed on the matter. Under the law, under the law, we have an obligation when we receive a request from a property owner, which we did, to consider a land transfer under that Public Act 425. This is the beginning of that process. You know, it could be, well, you know, it could be approved tonight, it could be rejected tonight, it could be tabled for further information, because of what we hear from the public.
I'm just saying theoretically, like she's asking what would your things be on the impact?
Well, first of all, it's not our project as a township board and the board members up here. There are questions that I think we're gonna probably, you know, I'm not speaking for the others, but I'm sure we're gonna probably have the same types of questions that we want answered before we make a decision. Unfortunately, we're the first part of these considerations. You know, to me, the process, well, if there weren't so many people here, and probably, younger people. You know, I would say what I really thought about the process. But the process to me is not conducive to having a thoughtful discussion about things. I mean, they throw you right into asking for, you know, all sorts of public comment before the sponsors of this thing, whatever it is, before they tell us what is it? What is the projected impact? Have there been studies done on this state of Michigan? They're the ones promoting it, you know, and they should be here. Probably not technically on the land transfer, but they certainly knew that they're closely interrelated, you know? And so I find myself frustrated by the process because you all have questions and good questions that need to be answered. And, you know, I can't give you an answer to them. And I don't think anybody else up here can give an answer to them.
Well, I don't want it to be like we're attacking you guys by any
No,
means.
I don't.
We're all a little passionate and a little upset with it because it is blindsided. I just found out about this 3 days ago.
Right.
I mean, this is something that's been in the works for a long time. So we do feel a little shysted right now.
Yeah, you do.
So it's salty.
We have all known, can I let me just say this, I've been on the board since 1996, and I've known all 20 or 25 projects that definitely were coming to this site. I mean, I don't know what the details of all of those are, but I bet there's been at least 20. You know, Volkswagen was gonna be here, the big one that was rumored, and I mean, they were moving in. They never selected this site, ended up. The site was always in the top 3. So, you know, there's a process, and we get dragged into it at the end of the process. Should be, you know, further up in the process. I'm not an industrial development specialist, and I don't think anybody else up here is. And, you know, but, so I don't know what all these considerations are they make, and who makes them. You know, but we're stuck with now having property owner requests. So, you know, we have to hear as a board, we have to hear the comments from the public, and we're hearing those comments. And there are a lot of good observations, I can tell you that from my viewpoint, that need to be answered. We need to hear from our lawyers as to what, if any, ramifications they are if we tell one of these property owners no, and they lose the sale of their property. You know, we gotta weigh that too, and what damage that can do, if any. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be weighed, and this is the beginning of that process.
So then my follow-up question is, how can you be more transparent? How can we find out?
I think this is
about
our
it? How can we
first
know about
opportunity
it?
to be more transparent. We don't have, you know, the name of any organization that is, you know, is got any, we don't even know if there's an impending project. I have a feeling there must be. Why would the state of Michigan spend millions of dollars, you know, potentially buying property, unless, of course, we're like the state of Alabama or Kentucky or wherever, where the state just goes out, buys up land, puts in streets, puts in sewers, puts in water, and says, here you come. I have a feeling that's the direction our state legislature and our governor have put us on in the last 2 years. But,
And
you
with
know,
that being said, we have an opportunity to say no, to stop it. If you want government to change, then we are ground zero, right?
we do, but we also have an obligation as members of the board, we have a fiduciary obligation to all of the taxpayers of this township too, in whatever action we take, that we also don't put the township in realistic financial jeopardy on that. And what I mean by that is, you know, anybody with $180 or whatever it costs these days to file a lawsuit can file a lawsuit. It doesn't mean they could, you know, could have merit, it could not have merit. And we'll, obviously, part of our process is we're gonna want to talk with our attorneys about that to see if we do have any realistic liability out there. You know, we need the pros and the cons of all of that. And
So how long have,
we're not here.
how long have you both known about this?
Pardon me?
How long have you both known about Megasite?
They were talking about that when I moved to Marshall in '73, that this was an industrial, a site marked for industrial development because of the amount of property they had there. It was fairly level. There was an industrial complex that came in one time. I think I'm well enough. That came in, and they said the reason they didn't build out here we go, the land was too flat. And it was gonna take them, it was gonna cost them too much to bring in enough filter to be able to have a fall with this humongous building they were gonna build. Okay, so now they're looking at 16 to 1,900 acres for the Megasite. Who's looking at it? We don't know, they won't tell us. Okay, and as Mr. Albaugh said, it appears that somebody may be getting itchy because all of a sudden they want to start purchasing property, where before that was never brought up. But under the confidentiality clauses that they've got everybody tied down on, they won't tell us anything, and we can't get that information. They'll tell us when they think we need to know, and that's our state. I'm not real happy about that, but there's nothing I can do about it.
So call me paranoid, or maybe it was just my time in the military, but when you're not having people be transparent with you, that's a red flag. That in itself is enough for you to say no.
No, because I know what you're saying, but when large industrial firms are looking to build new, the first thing they do is throw out a non-disclosure agreement, and okay, they tell the state that. If you don't want to do it, they go away. Well, the state wants more jobs in Michigan. You know, is that good, is that bad? I don't know. But the state's pushing it. The state, and then MEDC, and it filtered down to MEDA, the Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance. And they've said for probably, I'm gonna say 8, 9 years, that this was the #1 industrial site, the largest industrial site they had in the state of Michigan, with the land, the amount of land they had in that was undeveloped, and that's what they were pushing for. And it's taken them this long to get here. How long is it gonna take to go further? I have no idea.
Could we have changed it?
Pardon me?
Could we have changed the title to ag if we voted on it a long time ago?
It's already been ag.
They could have come in, whoever owns it, they request it be rezoned.
So could we have changed it as taxpayers and voted on that area to go back?
Because it was already agricultural.
But it's industrial.
Right, okay, it was agricultural, and then they went to light industrial.
But we could have voted on that, right? To change it back?
Yeah, you can.
I don't think they vote on zoning.
Yes, they can.
That's the responsibility of the planning.
Just a little, I don't know if I should say this or not. I'm 63 and probably I was 8 or 9 years old when a place came in and bought that land, what Sears has there. And I can remember this vividly, my parents talking, other people talking about it, and it was zoned light industrial at that time. So it's probably been zoned light industrial for 50 years, but it stayed in agriculture that whole time. But that land was zoned light industrial at least 50 years ago.
What's the process of changing the zoning?
It doesn't matter, does it? Because if you go into 425, the zoning doesn't matter, it becomes the city, and then they have control of it. So it doesn't matter what
Right,
the
the
zoning.
zoning's not gonna make a difference right now. And I will say this, and I've asked this question, and maybe the board will kill me for saying this. But if this is so wonderful, what they're trying to bring in here, why do we have to be so secretive about it?
Amen.
And I don't
Amen.
think that you can blame this board here for any of this, because this is being brought down from the state. We're just the first sacrificial lambs in this. We're getting our heads cut off.
You guys are the messenger. You're sent down to say what
Right.
you gotta say, and hopefully you'll repeat what we have.
Right, and I think getting all your state senators and stuff, that's one of the best things you can do. They gotta know. And I wanna thank all you people for coming here, because we need people to come to the meetings. You might not know what's going on, but if you come to the meetings, you'll know more stuff about it. People are starting to leave. And in my defense here, because I've heard a lot of stuff about agriculture, my family's been here for almost 100 years, and we farm. And I farm land in this Megasite that if it goes in, we won't be farming that ground anymore. And so it's going to affect me when we talk about how it affects me, and it really affects agriculture. And I'm a little upset about this because, you know, we have this wonderful master plan that talks about ag, but so now we're just making the ag smaller. And what that does is it makes it harder. Farms have to have an economic size. And without that, they don't survive. And as we do more of these things, there's going to be less agriculture in our township. I can tell you that right now. Because we have to travel farther and we have to do other things to survive. And our farm has, over the years, done different things, but we're still a commercial farm, plus we have a farm market and that stuff. And we're trying to stay here, but this whole thing is gonna make it harder on our family. And I have, you know, when you talk about the water, I drink the water, my kids drink the water, my grandkids drink the water, and that's very important to me. And when I do things, I try to take care of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to us, and I'm gonna thank you in advance for, don't let this go through.
Well, I'm gonna put that back on you guys. You guys have got some work to do.
Tell us what we need to do.
Well, you need to get a hold of your state senator, your state congressman, whatever, even federal. They need to know. Yes, that'd be Sarah Leitner. And I think she'll listen to you.
Do you recommend that we attend the meeting tomorrow night as well?
Yes.
Might want to get a bigger room.
And where is it located?
If you don't, then they're gonna hear that the city of Marshall didn't have any problems with the 425s, and the only ripple was out in the township. So, there's 2 hearings. I think it behooves you to,
Be there.
exactly, you're adamant about it, and here's the thing. If it gets approved here, and it gets approved there, they're the ones that have got the ordinance for the industrial development. It will be the city's ordinances. And it'll be city property surrounded by the township, which has happened before, but, you know, as passionate as you are about it, I think you'd want to be there tomorrow night to let them know how you feel about it.
Is there gonna be a vote here tonight?
We are going to be taking action on the 425 requests from the 4 property owners tonight. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And in that request of that 425, you said there are 4 landowners, but it's farmland there, but that also impacts the neighbors and the people that live there. It's not just four landowners out in the middle of nowhere, because we border that property. And actually, I'm Zahar Hathi from Bear Creek Farm. If you've not been there, I live in the most beautiful place in Marshall. It's the most incredible place we're offered the same thing like you all, contract and money and all those things to relocate and move. And we actually looked around and we couldn't find anything close to what we have. And Dave knows our dream. We want that 100 acres behind our farm. But I can't compete with big money and the tax dollars and the billions of dollars, to go acquire the land back that we want. But I just know that I'm thankful you said that, but to really consider the impact of who it affects. You know how many people come on our land and say, we took our senior pictures there. We remember the bed and breakfast. People drive up to our house all day long. We love it. We love the people of Marshall. They're amazing. People on a first name basis, kind and friendly. We love to welcome people on our farm, but I share that concern to Dave. They build that around our farm. What are we going to do with light industrial boarded right up to our farm? Or municipalities and water, they're going to build infrastructure for this big thing right on the corner of our farm. So we're not politicians. We don't know all the jargon and all that. We're just simple farmers with a heart to love people, So I know you say that, and there's legalities, and we don't understand all that, but it affects a lot of people beyond just the legalities of the thing. So we don't know what we're going to do one side or the other, but I know we have a very special place in Marshall, and Marshall's a very special place. And like my heart's kind of saddened in a way to see that be affected. I hear Dave's heard about farming, and I'm like, what are we going to do? But I don't know that we have power to make it happen or not make it happen or what that's going to take, but I love what you said about people speaking their heart, I love that all these people came out to represent something I love, the people. I love the people of Marshall,
Can I make a comment? We've got a person. Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, if I can, I might have a heart attack, or I hope not. If I do, I don't know. It depends how you vote tonight, whether you resuscitate me. My name is Rebecca Glotfelty. I'm a member of the Glotfelty family and of the trust that has Riverside Farm at the bend at 13 Mile Road, NC Drive North. I'm not a signatory to any non-disclosure agreement. That's my 90. My mom will be 90 on Wednesday, and yes, and as you can tell, I'm here, so I'm quite upset, and I'll try not to cry because I know that this means so much to you, and try to reason with a very stubborn 90-year-old woman who's lost her husband a year ago, October, and has a daughter with Alzheimer's and 2 sons out of state. And, for her, this was like a release of everything. I tried talking to her for a year. I told her about Aldo Leopold, Wendell Berry, everything to say that farming is important, our natural places are important. I haven't lived in the community for quite some time, and when I come back now, my parents actually lived in town, about a mile from 94, and I can't believe the noise now. I can't believe the light pollution. I can't believe the air pollution caused by the highways, and it's just
marijuana.
Yeah, no, that maybe I recognize that too, but it's the carbon emissions that we're just being bombarded with, and